Hey guys, Tuna Marine here, bringing you another Marine Corps stories. This week I actually wanted to do stories, per se, instead of more kind of advice and things. In this one actually I got a couple stories that are freaking hilarious. I mean for most of them you might have to have been there to find it amusing, but kind of, hopefully these will give you a good example of what, kind of what to expect, you know, when you join, if you join, that sort of thing. Alright, well, the first one, I'm not going to name names of who the Marines were that they involved, but the first one, I'll just call him Marine number one. He, so we're in Iraq. He was our supply guy, and I mean, just like any other job, you're going to come across people that annoy the shit out of you, that that are cocky and arrogant for no reason, even when other people have more experience and whatnot. You know, even in your own field, and they're still, you know, jerks to people. The Marine Corps is no different in that regard. So anyway, this guy's our supply guy, and he, let's just say, he was not a fan of working out. He was the supply chief also as a corporal, so he never had to work out because his section, he was in charge of his section, so if he didn't want to work out, he didn't. And you know, so we go to Iraq, whatever, and he was always chilling in supply, and he was just a douche to people and everything. So we tend to avoid him if we had the ability to. But so one day we had to do a sweep essentially right along the west side. I think that would have been the east side of the Euphrates River, going from basically the town of Barwana all the way up to the Haditha Dam. It was a good, you know, exercise, maneuver, operation, whatever you want to call it. And we're basically sweeping for IEDs, any sort of unexploded ordnance, as well as obviously, you know, insurgents, stuff like that. And sweep along. We started at probably like 07, 08. I mean, we got out there earlier than that, but you know, we couldn't do much until light was up. And we basically got our entire couple platoons online and just swept almost like a huge police call from the northern end of Barwana all the way up to the dam. And they had told us, you know, the day before, they didn't tell us what we were going to do, but they told us to make sure you're super hydrated because it's going to be a long day tomorrow. And so, you know, everyone hydrated, they did their thing. Well, I should say most people did. Anyway, we're going along, and at the beginning of it, we're all kind of standing around, you know, waiting to step out. And Marine One here, he was talking shit how he, you know, 'cause someone made fun of him for being fat, and you know, he was talking shit about not. He didn't work out. He didn't need to. He was so super tough, and this and that. That he never, you know, he didn't even drink any water the night before. That he was good. Blah blah blah. And we're like, all right, man. Yeah, that's cool. Whatever. Whatever floats your boat. And so we're doing this thing. We go, and I can't remember exactly how far it was, but if we started about 08, we didn't get done until I want to say 1500, so three in the afternoon. And it was just long, tedious. This was towards, I mean, I think this was still in October, so I mean it was still decently warm actually there, probably in the 90s or so. And going along, and the whole entire time he's talking shit. You know, I got this, blah blah blah. And we finally get up towards the end where we could see the dam, and we were gonna hop on our trucks and go to the dam from there. And all of a sudden, and Marine One was next to me, to my right, probably 20 feet at most. And we're walking. All of a sudden, I just see him face plant in the ground, and he starts freaking out. He, you know, starts breathing heavy. He's like, just, it's hard to describe without actually being there. But he like hold on 1 second here. I'm trying to find the deal here. He yeah, he just, you know, was breathing heavily, and he was like freaking out and stuff, and our doc slowly walked up and just saw him. He's like, "Doc, I need, you know, this, I need that," and he's like, "I thought you didn't need any of that there, man. You know, you don't have to work out, you don't gotta hydrate." He's like, "Oh, come on, Doc, come on," and he like started, you know, dry heaving and stuff because he was so dehydrated, and so then the doc ripped off his clothes, and he did it in such a way to really expose this guy's fat, which was hilarious. And so, I mean, everyone's standing around laughing now, and yeah, just making fun of him. And then by this point, he had passed out, which wasn't due to the heat. It's just because he freaked out basically, and and so then they 3 or 4 unhappy volunteers had to try to lift his fat ass up in the back of the truck, back of the 7-ton, the up-armored 7-ton, which, if you've ever seen those, the door to those things are tiny, and it's up this steep little ladder that you pull down. And so trying to watch, you know, 3 or 4 Marines lift this fat ass up in there was easily one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And we just laughed and laughed, and later, once, you know, he recovered and he was fine, every single time we just harassed him, and, you know, he had some sort of excuse for it, but he couldn't get away from the fact that he had passed out like a dumbass, and it was hilarious, absolutely hilarious. So basically, picture someone that you know, is cocky, that you don't like, that's annoying, always talking shit, and then they go down for heat because they think they're so hardcore they don't need to drink water, and yeah. Oh, good times. So the second story is going to paint probably a pretty good visual for you. Now, when we were in Barwana, we had piss tubes in the ground. We didn't have porta-johns. You had your shitters with, like, if you ever seen Jarhead, it's the same exact thing, a little wood shack with a 55-gallon barrel cut in half, and you shit in that, and people pull it out and burn it, stuff like that. We had those, and then we had piss tubes, which is basically super long PCP pipe that is shoved down into the ground, and you piss in it. And and they keep them separate because they don't want you pissing in the shitter, because it makes it harder to burn. But anyway, you know, there's Marines there before us at that cop, and you know, they had to use the pissers, obviously, and they got to the point where the sand down at the bottom of the pipe got so saturated it wouldn't take any more piss. And so it slowly started to fill up these tubes, which these ones, they used a backhoe, and they dug out this huge hole, and the pipes themselves were 20 feet long. And, you know, plus all the saturated ground, so there's a lot of piss in there. But they got to the point where they were overflowing, and, like, you couldn't piss anymore because they would just, like, splash all over you and stuff, which is disgusting. And they smelled terrible. But there was like 4 or 5 of these tubes next to each other, and our CO one day wanted us to move them, and he wanted us to dig them completely out, which is just ridiculous, but that's another story. But anyway, he you know, so alright, being the good Marines we tried, and we're going, we realized it was useless. These things were 20 feet into the ground, and they just weren't coming out unless we had some heavy equipment to dig it up. So we decided to just to break them, cover the dirt up, you know, make it look like they're not there, and then use the new pipes that we had and put those in elsewhere. And so one of our Motor T guys, which I'll call him Marine 2, just so you could separate the 2 Marines, he was a Motor T guy. He was a bit special. He would forget how to spell his own name, which I'm not sure how it's possible. It's on your camis, but he would, regardless. I mean, he was good. He was decent what he did. He was a good Motor T guy, but special. But anyway, so we're, you know, trying to dig out as much as we can with the shovels, and then break them off so we can cover them back up with dirt. And Marine 2 here, we dug it, and we're going to break him. He grabs a pickaxe, and everyone's standing back, and he's just gonna attack the shit out of these pipes to try to crack them and break them. And he started going at it, and these pipes were tough. I don't know what was up with him, but he was going at it for a good 10 minutes, just hitting him with this thing. And he's by this time he's breathing hard, he's sweating, and all of a sudden he gets one good crack on it, and the tube where he was hitting it shatters, breaks apart, and a bunch of the piss from inside the tube flew up, splashed all over him, got in his mouth, to the point where he swallowed some of it because he was breathing heavy and his mouth was open, and it just flew right in. And he, just thinking about it makes me want to gag. He basically got this piss from God knows how many people all over him, in his mouth. He swallowed it, and he starts gagging immediately. He threw up, and he just freaking out basically, and we all thought it was hilarious. We're laughing at him. And I felt bad for him, so I was like, all right, man, we need to go get your ass a shower. And the way the showers worked there, they only worked for like an hour a day. And the Army, there's like 3 or 4 Army guys that were on the cop with us that they ran the showers. And that was their goal in life. And they only, had them running for a certain time during the day. And this was early in the day. And so I went up into their hooch, and I'm like, hey guys, can we get the shower running? We have a guy who needs it. They're like, no, man, we can only operate these things during these hours. So I'm like, well, he's pretty bad off. I think he might need it. They're like, no, man, they're playing Xbox or something. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, hey, Marine 2, come in here. And he walked in, and immediately you could smell the entire tent just became freaking overpowered by the smell. And these guys start gagging. They're like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I told you. He got piss tube piss all over himself. And they're like, all right, dog, all right, man, we got this. We'll go turn that shit on. And so they ran, they turned it on stuff, and it was just freaking hilarious because he was traumatized, to say the least. Which, in all honesty, I don't blame him because, man. And after that, like, he was sick for a while. Like, I don't think he necessarily got sick from the piss itself, but just the thought of it kind of upset his stomach and kind of ruined his day, to say the least. But yeah, so those are 2 stories of some of the shenanigans that we ran into. I have plenty more spanning from boot camp all the way until I got out, so I'll definitely bring you more of these. But yeah, as you can tell, Marines are assholes, making fun of people who have bad things happen to them. But if it's brought on by yourself, then we really don't care too much. But yeah, guys, I appreciate you watching. As always, if you have any particular questions, hit me up. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. I'm always on those, especially because I work nights. So I bust that crap out from my phone. So if you want to talk to me there, feel free. Yeah. Alright, guys, I'll talk to you later. Semper Fi.